see Chica in the movie? Bitch was hot as hell, I'm telling you. Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to the Med Podcast.
What? Yo, what?
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Med Podcast. I'm here with your hosts, what's your name again? David, Macy,
Garrett,
me, myself,
What up?
Edward. This episode is going to be solely dedicated to the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, so if you don't want to see spoilers, click off. Probably already clicked off anyways because you have no idea who we are. But yeah, no, spoilers ahead. We, as I mentioned, are just going to dedicate this entire episode, so we do have an hour on our timer. If we last that long, then great. If not, I don't care.
I don't know about you, but I last pretty long.
But
Solid 1 minute. Anyways, so I guess we'll just kind of get into it. We'll start, I guess, with our reviews of the movie, what we thought about it, and then obviously the whole lore aspect of it, because that was pretty much the what is it? Like the fuck, I'm trying to think of a reference, but I can't. Not theory, but that was the whole like plot. Not plot, but what people compared the plot of the movie to was the lore to the actual Five Nights at Freddy's, the games, the books, which obviously people were saying that the movie was heavily inspired by the books, which
It was. I don't tell you which books they were.
about. We'll get
okay,
into
well,
it.
buddy,
We'll get into
calm
it.
down.
Like, you're obviously the self-proclaimed FNAF expert, so we do have a professional opinion here.
I also
So
didn't say that.
you did in the first video. You did. Anyways, so we'll get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start our timer. David, did you want to start or?
I mean, sure. I'll say, Matthew Lillard killed it, bro. When he was in the fucking office and he's like and then he looked at him and then fucking leaned in. I'm like, you fucking better not. God, that I was about to lose my shit. But there's
Okay.
no like, so it was confirmed that it's Michael Schmidt. Like that was his name. Which they didn't do anything. I mean, could his little brother be Gregory technically, and then he be Michael, and then they both be William Afton's sons? But why wouldn't they remember that?
So I was actually talking to Macy about this, and I guess we'll just jump ahead on the timeline. But apparently, Michael Schmidt is technically Henry Emily's daughter, or not daughter, but son. I'm dead.
No.
Like it's like his last name is also Emily, so it's Michael Emily. But the reason why it's Schmidt is because it's a different alias that he uses so that he gets the job for Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, is that a theory or is that confirmed?
I mean, I saw it on TikTok. It could be a theory. I honestly have no idea. I'm not too entranced into the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. It makes sense considering he didn't say his last name, but at the same time, if the whole intention of him using the last name was to get Five Nights at Freddy's, like the job, I don't understand how William would have knew who he was.
I'm done.
Wait, whoa.
Where'd she go?
Wait, dude, she got taken by William. Where you heard that shit? We're all about to get taken, I'm telling you.
Literally just out of nowhere, just died.
What did you hear?
I very vaguely heard you talking about what you saw on TikTok, and then it cut out. But I could kind of still hear that you were talking. I don't know if you guys, like either of you brought it up while I was, being murdered, but didn't in the movie Michael discuss like his parental situation? Didn't he say like his mom died because she was sick and then his dad like couldn't handle it or something like that?
So basically, his mom died. I don't know if it was a sickness. She just died, and his dad left because he couldn't handle the grief of losing the son.
And then isn't that... I don't recall exactly how it goes in the lore. It's been a minute since I've like rewatched the video, like with all the fan fucking theories. But Henry Emily, didn't he leave his family at some point because of the... I might be thinking of something else then.
I don't fully remember, so you may be right. But from what I remember, he didn't leave his family. He only had his daughter, and his daughter was taken from him.
Okay.
But that's just a theory. Okay.
Maybe he didn't know he was like maybe he didn't know he had the other two kids or whatever. Like Michael. Obviously, we know that like we know he had Michael and Gregory, right?
Bro, you're
So,
putting out. Like you're
I
about
will
to start
say,
cutting out.
just like to give more knowledge of this, the books that were most used in the movie are The Silver Eyes, which was the first book ever released. That scene where Abby was hiding from Foxy in the arcade, that was directly from page 1 of Silver Eyes. And then Fazbear Frights, the series, the ones that were used the most were Fetch. That's where that dog costume was in the parts and service room. And 1:35 a.m. was that clown face doll. That wasn't Baby, that was someone else, but I can't remember the name.
Okay, give me a
wanted to give
second.
some
I'm gonna move to the living room so that I don't cut out because I can hear
Well-
everything. So it wasn't Baby.
I'm gonna
It
close
was
the
not
door.
Baby.
Hold on.
Okay, because Baby wasn't
But
Springtrap, right? Or was she?
No, yes,
No.
What? No, wait. So she handed out ice cream again. Baby
Baby
when
is
it
an
came to
advanced
Circus
robotic.
Baby, like what it obviously I think was the animatronic that killed Henry Emily's.
William Afton's.
Oh, William. I get them confused. Yeah, William Afton's daughter. She wanted to get ice cream. Baby basically swallowed her the fuck up. But at the same time, it would make sense to some degree why that would be Baby and why it wouldn't. The main reason, my argument at least for why it would, is because Sister Location is obviously the first one. Like, I think canonically throughout the whole series, like Sister Location happens before the first Five Nights at Freddy's. So
Well, we
would
don't fully
see
know yet.
Baby. Well, in the games, quote unquote, we have no idea about the movies. Like people are speculating it might be a different universe, but in the games, it happens first. At least before the first actual game, and then we know for a fact that Gregory, who I think is William Afton's son, right? I might be confusing them, but he dies. He's the bite of 83, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then I don't even remember. Like I have no idea who the fuck Garrett is. Like I didn't even know what the fuck is his name? Henry Emily.
Henry
Fuck.
Emily.
I keep saying I'm trying to say Emily Henry. Fuck. Henry Emily. I didn't even know he had a second son. I didn't even know he had a first son. I thought he just had a daughter.
The same. That was never discussed.
And that's why, like, it's kind of my speculation, and I was telling Macy as well, that Mike Schmidt is technically adopted to some degree. It would make sense why Garrett as well might be another person who's adopted, but, I think if William has his own son who's also a Michael, we could be seeing just two different people. I honestly have no idea. That might be his son, but at the same time, like, it would make sense why William would recognize his own son, but he wouldn't recognize his father if he was given away.
It's weird. Here's the thing. Because in the games, it's Mike Schmidt. It's not Michael Schmidt. He called him Michael Schmidt. So,
But he
probably
also
not his
goes by
Michael.
Mike.
No, yeah, like I guess like professionalism, he says Michael, but like to people he knows, it's like Mike. But because there has to be a reason why he leaned in to look at him. There has to be.
Well, obviously, like Schmidt is somewhat significant, so it could be like on either side. If he is, why am I literally blanking on purple guy's name?
William?
What the fuck?
William
Yeah,
Afton.
if he's William's son, sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on that. If he's William's son, obvious reason, like, yeah, he could look at him and be like, whoa, that's my fucking son, and he just doesn't know. But if he's Henry Emily's son as well, like, he could lean in and realize that too and be like,
well?
fuck, like, he looks like, not like they just had a fucking man baby.
Okay. Yeah.
No, even if he's either person's son, is what I'm trying to say is he could very easily be recognized. So it also could have honestly been like that he just, like, obviously we know that he abducted Mike's little brother. Like, he could just know the last name in that regard. Like, he could know that he's the older brother of the fucking guy who he murdered. But he could recognize him for a number of reasons, no matter who he's related to.
So, I think that it seems a little too weird if he's related to Emily, and for one very big reason.
To Emily?
Yeah.
Henry.
I know, but the fact
His dad his dad's name was never brought up, and maybe that could be why. Maybe that's why, like, oh yeah, my dad's name. But why would his name be Schmidt? Unless he took his mom's name, but his mom's
He could have changed his last name. He could have done all kinds of shit. I mean, you never know. Like, if somebody abducted your child, you know, you could change your last name, or he could change his last, like, the mom could have changed it out of trauma.
Also,
or because the father left, he could have taken on his mother's maiden name, or he could have changed it himself because he's trying to distance himself, like, legally, so that if he does, like, he's not as well connected to the brother, so he can figure out who took him, which is, like, all a stretch. But
in my head, Vanessa wasn't ever really thought as William's daughter, but it was now confirmed. I think Michael is his son, but he's able to mess with people's dreams and mess with people's, I guess, minds. So what if he just, like, messed with Michael's mind and then gave him up? Like, maybe he gave up Garrett and Michael to a different family, and then he realized he wanted them back, and then that's why he took Garrett.
what if his name was actually Gregory the entire time?
Oh, that's what I'm saying, because,
His
like,
family renamed him Gregory.
Garrett and
Okay,
Gregory
Garrett.
are way too similar.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea, honestly. Like, the fact that most of this comes from the book series is kind of what, like, throws me off, because I haven't read any of the books. Like, I haven't even listened to any of the books, so honestly, I have no fucking idea. And I just want to put this disclaimer already, like, 10 minutes in, is that, you know, audience, if you're listening to us and we're just spewing a bunch of bullshit that doesn't make sense and isn't actually true,
Then you're
first
in
of
the
all,
right place.
that's tough shit. But yeah, you're in the right place. If we, you know, if we see something that's wrong, just let us know in the comments
Yeah,
below that we're
Because I haven't read them either, obviously.
stupid. But, you know, obviously what you hear is just speculation from a bunch of idiots. But it's the theory. There you go. It's literally just a theory. Like, as I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't read any of the books, but from what I remember, at least, you know, purely from a game point, like an actual game standpoint, which there isn't much about it. Like, I honestly, it's obviously set in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, so at least we know the setting, which is the first game, quote unquote. I think it's the first game. Honestly, I don't remember. It's set after the events of obviously the bite of 87, I think, which is what shut it down. So it's after the second game, which obviously the second game was a prequel. So we know it's somewhere. It includes the first and second game. We see William Afton, but it's not Fazbear Frights, so it's before the third game. So it's somewhere between, I want to say, the second and third. If we're just going canonically from the games like 1, 2, and 3, it's
I mean,
somewhere.
timeline wise, we know it's set in 2000 as well, because that's
the
when
camera.
he was,
And,
in
yeah,
the
his
security
office,
office.
So timeline is to what you think. Fucking what's that shit called? Baby's game,
I have no idea.
Sister location.
sister location. Then
Oh.
FNAF 2, then FNAF 1, and then FNAF, like the new movie that's gonna come out, is gonna focus on 3, because in the game, the FNAF 1 location gets burned down, and that's how they get William Afton's body into Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Because they're like, oh, we found a really cool animatronic.
So, to clarify on the ending, I know which is it Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that ends with the spirits being released and trapping him into Springlock? Okay. So,
Wait, then that wouldn't make sense. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has to come after, because the bodies are like the withered suits after the fire also go into Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Well, that they're not withered because they're broken. Like, that's not it. It's just that they were, what's it called? From the previous location, they were taken apart, so they made them more kid-family friendly. And then, obviously, at the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, they dismantled the toy animatronics and just remade the original for the first game.
Mm.
I honestly have no idea if Five Nights at Freddy's 2 comes first and then Sister Location. I don't remember. I know in the fourth game is when a lot of the plot starts to get driven into it, like the fourth Five Nights at Freddy's and then actual Sister Location. I think in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is when we actually see like the bite of 83. It's us literally just playing Gregory, but that also comes, you know, from the whole aspect that they had about dream theory. which is why Gregory is seeing the animatronics, and that was like a plot point that was shown in the movie as well, when Michael was trying to relive those events that happened where Garrett was taken. But I think, like, obviously we didn't pay much attention to the story in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 either. I think the third one, I honestly don't remember how the Easter egg went in the third one. Fuck, we didn't pay attention to any of this bullshit.
So for the Easter egg of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you basically have to go from each and every soul. I think the first one is Balloon Boy. That you have to finish his game in the Balloon Boy's adventure world or whatever. And then it's Mangled. And then it's Chica, Foxy, then Freddy. Those are the 5 nights. You have to do them all. And then you get the good ending, I believe.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that was, I guess, I lied. Like, that is literally the entire, it's just us seeing Springtrap, or William become Springtrap. I think at the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is when we see him tormented by the souls, and he goes into Springtrap. And obviously they did it different, in the movie than the way they did in the actual game. It showed Cupcake biting a side of him, which people are saying is like Cupcake is the reason why it's spring-locked in the movie. But then in the game, obviously the suit was just sitting there in a puddle of like oil or water, or whatever the fuck it was, and he went in there, and it glitched.
Yeah,
the actual traps.
The movie death, or like the movie like thing was the way from the books. The book did, like, the movie was the exact same thing from the book. He was surrounded by the 4 animatronics. He got scared, his spring lock started activating, and then Foxy dragged him into the room with the other 3 animatronics. And then the same thing happened in the movie.
Okay. Cupcake also, just in general, like, let me know, David, does Cupcake play a bigger role outside of the games? Because obviously, like, I have not seen very much of Cupcake, having just watched like gameplay and like having played them and watched like lore videos. I feel like Cupcake was a catalyst more so just for like general like movie purposes. That it had the most nobility, and it was like the most accessible, like vicious thing.
Big ass pause. Okay.
On me.
From what I've read and seen, no. There's like, in the games, it's more popular, but in the books, not really. One thing I will bring up that you just made me remember is that in the like behind the scenes, there's a picture of like the Golden Freddy kid sitting on a chair, like one of those like acting chairs, and it, like, he was sitting on the chair that said "Bad Cupcake."
Okay.
So
big ass
pause.
no, because I'm trying to think. When it comes to like those 5 kids are the 5 animatronics 100%. But
really,
there is questions on if that was actually Golden Freddy or not.
Okay, wait. So
blonde kid.
The blonde kid that he talked to the most of the time?
Yeah, because it seems stupid. It should be him. It's like when Abby was taken from her home, the kid was there and Golden Freddy's body was there. Like, it has to be them too. But someone was saying, like, and it's just an idea, I don't believe it, but it's something I'm bringing out, that I don't think the ghost of Chica also manipulates the cupcake. I think the cupcake is its own entity.
That's what I was asking Eddie after the movie, because I was like, I don't know anything about this damn cupcake. Is it like a segment of Chica's soul? Is it its own thing? Is it literally just like a demon,
I personally don't know.
I mean, it makes sense if it was part of Chica's soul, but, because obviously we don't see them when they're all in the forest. We don't see a kid just for the cupcake.
The cupcake.
At the same time, it could just be a demented piece of hardware that, either was programmed by William Afton to be psychotic, or maybe Chica's soul, part of her soul, is in the cupcake. We have no idea. I mean, we probably will have an idea if we actually get into the crazy lore that is Five Nights at Freddy's, but with how convoluted it is, it just seems crazy to think about. I did have something I wanted to bring up, and I just completely oh wait, I lied. I just remembered it. But in one of the games, I think it was the second one, maybe the third one as well, it actually shows, I think it was Puppet or somebody else, like when you're giving life to the children, the dead ones, and it's showing their head. Yeah, that's marionette. You're giving the heads. You obviously give Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, and then in a separate room you give another dead child the Golden Freddy mask. I don't remember if that was in the second or the third one, but obviously we know at some point that Henry Emily's daughter, which I don't know her name, she also becomes a part of Golden Freddy. So there are two children inhabiting Golden Freddy. And then I think like in Ultimate Custom Night, she's the one that drags William to hell, like after they burned down in what was that? What was the one that Scott released?
Pizzeria Simulator?
Yeah, that one. When it burns, she's the one that basically drags William to hell. And then Ultimate Custom Night, you're the one playing William. Like, that's why it's so chaotic and hellish, is literally just because you're playing Purple Guy and you're not supposed to survive.
Question. Have either of you guys fully played or seen the Pizzeria Simulator game?
No.
I mean, I played it a little bit. I didn't actually...
Have you gotten to the end?
Me personally, no. I have watched it, though. I've seen the end.
Can I play something for you guys?
I guess. I mean, are you going to play it, like, share your screen?
Yeah.
Hold on, that might mess up the recording.
I could also just upload the video and then we can all watch it separately. But in Pizzeria Simulator, Henry Emily has a speech that is fucking bone chilling.
Oh, I mean, I know the speech, if that's what you're referring to.
That speech is nuts.
I mean,
can
you
just
read it.
Send the transcript?
How do I do that? Well, I don't know how to
just search up the
transcript. Show the transcript. There it is.
And you could just read it as well. Like, we don't have to watch the video.
So it's like connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still remember that name. I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You're not here to receive a gift. Nor have you been called here. So he's also talking to Michael at this moment. Where is the best part?
Was this when he made, what was it, Lefty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Obviously, like, Lefty is the one that captured, its purpose was to capture the marionette, but I completely forgot, like, that was the actual purpose of it.
And he's like, I believe there is a beast and perhaps worm waiting for you in the darkest pit of hell.
It's a little bit before that, by the way. And for, like, person, I think he said who should not be named, or you know who you are, or some type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it starts.
Bro, like...
I'm confused.
I'll send the link. You can watch it, like, because I was basically just reading the transcript, and the transcript isn't 100% correct, because YouTube transcripts kind of sucks.
Well, yeah. You can just search it up. Hold on.
Boom.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
Dude, that speech, it's on Spotify too. Shit's crazy.
So here it is. He says they don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is a peace and perhaps more waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you, so don't keep the devil waiting, old friend. I mean, that part, though, is literally him basically referencing his daughter, which I guess now, like we said, is Elizabeth. She's the one that I think eventually, I mean, but it doesn't make sense, because now that I remembered, like, she's the one that inhabits the puppet. I think when the puppet is destroyed is when she becomes part of Freddy, or Golden Freddy.
And do we remember, or do we know at all, like, who the other kid in Golden Freddy was?
It's
was that just like one of the random kids that got killed, or was that one of the children?
It's one of the children that got killed, and then it's no, because Henry's daughter became the puppet.
Oh yeah, but that was after Lefty caught her and she died. A little bit of her soul remnant went into Golden Freddy, which is how Golden Freddy was able, or she was able, to basically capture William, and take him to hell, which is why Ultimate Custom Night comes after the Pizza Simulator. Now, take that obviously with like a grain of salt, because obviously I don't remember all the facts of it, but I know somehow she goes from puppet to Golden Freddy, and then she drags William to hell, which they have a little cutscene. Like it shows, I think if I remember, like someone fishing, that it looks like it's at like hell, but somebody fishing, and that's technically where William goes. I might be able to find it. You have to give me a hot ass minute.
Yeah, another thing I really like. Okay, no, the one thing I didn't like of the movie is when they were building the fort. That shit felt a little weird to me.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is the kids movie part. Like, Buddy really like put the desk or the table on, fell backwards. Bonnie, are you okay? And he thumbs up, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know. I've been trying to kind of like stew on like what that scene and all that kind of stuff could have genuinely added, other than like, oh wow, they're just kids, like they're not harmful at all. Blah, 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 blah. They're just trying to have fun with Abby. I can't think of anything. It was such a fucking useless scene, other than like for comedy purposes.
No, it was so like I understand the whole scene. It was to like give a fake allure, like, oh, the animatronics are actually good and they're being possessed by William. That was like the meaning of the scene.
Is basically just saying like they are just kids sometimes. Like they're just trying to enjoy their lives or whatever. Like they're just friends with Abby, and then when they're being mean, it's not them. But like other than that, I don't think it really meant anything, right? Like there was no other hidden meaning kind of shit. I just kind of expect at this point, like everything's got like 6 different fucking extra meanings.
Perhaps.
Okay, I found the image. Hold on.
Okay, I'm reading low-key the FNAF wiki.
I mean, do what you gotta do, but here's the image. Apparently it's called Old Man's Consequence. This is basically William's hell. Like the only thing I remember from him being sent to hell was that image. I don't remember the specifics about it, but it happened in the actual, what's it called? I think near the end of Pizzeria Simulator.
I recognize it.
I honestly don't remember. I'm not even gonna hold you. I mean, okay, at the same time though, why are we talking about the games? Like we said we were gonna do a fucking movie review, and here we are already diving into the goddamn game series.
You can't do a movie review without talking about the games in the books.
I mean, for sure, but at the same time, I said that we would do a review from all of us first, and then we did yours, and immediately started going into the complicated fucking plot. But I mean, my review of the movie, like you said, it's a good FNAF movie. As a horror movie, I think it started off strong.
It was buns.
Like, it started off strong. The intro, the song that they had for, the opening where it was showing him taking all the kids, that was a bop as well. And then
that was a banger.
I like the way that they sort of made Michael as a character sort of just nonchalant and sort of just, he's not really there. It's not present. I mean, to me, that actually sounds like a real character. And the fact that he refused to believe that there were children inside the animatronics until the near end, that was something else that felt okay-ish, I guess. I don't know why Vanessa was in this game, considering we don't really see her until the, VR game, Help Wanted. So, technically speaking, I have no fucking idea. I didn't even know she was the daughter. I don't think she is. I think they just decided, hey, fuck it, let's just introduce Vanessa and say that she is the daughter. But... or was she the daughter in the VR game? I have no fucking idea.
I don't think she was.
It was theorized because she's not the actual daughter. I think she was a kid that was taken and then became his daughter. I mean, same way in the movie how she was taken.
Was she taken?
Yeah, she was taken just like how Gregory was taken. That's why she had his plane.
I just assumed that he had taken Garrett and given her the plane.
Yeah, I honestly thought that was it as well. I think the only reason why William was able to possess her was probably because she was blood related. I mean, maybe they did hint at it in Help Wanted. I have no fucking idea. I never played Help Wanted. I never completed it, so I don't know. All I know is at the end she becomes possessed, which is obviously what happens in what is a security breach when she basically becomes Vanny. It would make sense in that aspect considering there were developers before her, gamers that also went into the series, into, I guess, obviously meta speaking, but they went into the VR space and they died, even though they said not to listen to the tapes. She was gathering the tapes. But to introduce her as sort of the daughter of William after, and then him stabbing her, which I thought was kind of funny as fuck. We know that she lives, at least I haven't seen her in the books, but to sort of just have this sort of moment where we know it's not that deep is funny to me.
I mean, my thought too is like she's in a coma, and obviously the way she's introduced initially in the games is like she's playing VR. Little funny thought in my brain is like it's fucking SAO shit. Like she's not able to like return physically, but she's able to like do like VR or whatever, or it's kind of like in her head kind of shit. And that's like she's connecting with the souls and like with Freddy's the same way that like dreamwalking wise kind of thing.
It's different because in Help Wanted, the way she gets possessed isn't by blood or anything. It's because he gets an entrapment that you wear, which is the VR headset, and then just like watching something or just using some sort of code to get inside of the body. And that's how Afton got inside of Vanessa's body, because Afton was a code by the end of Help Wanted, so that he got into Vanessa's body. So technically Vanessa or Vanny is Afton.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say she's Afton. There's just remnant of Afton inside of her. And I mean, yeah, he's code, but the way that he gets basically formed is that she brings together the tapes or whatever she listens to in that verse after you beat, obviously the individual games, you get a tape or cassette or whatever the fuck. She brought them all together and listened to them. That was like the thing that she was told not to do, which I think ironically the last tape is what told her like, do not bring these tapes together. Like that was the last one. That's fucked.
Yeah, why would you do like the first one? Like
on me. But oh, go ahead.
So can we, like, just to go back to the movie, can we talk about how good that fucking springlock suit was? Bro, buddy got tased, wrapped that shit around, and pushed the shit out of Michael.
I'm honestly kind of like
big as hell.
The springlock suit is so sensitive to like exclusively water, bro. Or like exclusively liquids, but the man got fucking tased.
I don't know.
No, there was just like funny, like selective issues.
I think the thing about the cupcake was that like the cupcake literally like bit into the metal, and maybe moving some sort of joint, it crushed in on itself. That's what I think happened.
Oh, I just assumed like it bit into him a little bit, and the blood is what caused it.
No, he wasn't bleeding because it bit into like the costume, and then it ripped the costume off. It didn't bite into.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it that well.
So I think like he bit the middle, and then the middle kind of like got triggered, and then just inserted itself into Afton.
Well, me personally, I think this scene was a little underwhelming. And, obviously there's the whole thing that people are debating as well. Because in the game, it's sort of, I guess not theorized. We don't really hear him screaming in the game. But people sort of theorize themselves that, obviously he was screaming when it was happening. But Scott basically confirmed that the reason he wasn't screaming in the movie, which obviously he wasn't screaming in the game either, was because the spring lock basically clipped his vocal cords, so he couldn't scream. Now, in the game, it's a little bit more violent, in my opinion, because obviously you could see the blood, you see him shaking, his mouth is open, like all this shit, and, people who kind of designed it themselves from their own interpretation of it, like, it goes crazy. Like, the spring locks aren't only in the body of the suit, it's everywhere, including the head, which is why, like, his eyes bulge out and shit like that. We don't really see that in the movie, which I understand, like it's a PG-13 rated movie, but at the same time, in my opinion, that scene was very underwhelming. It's supposed to be sort of the turning point, I think, of the series, in my opinion, because, you know, it's sort of the animatronics, they're under his control, but the second that they actually stand up to him, when he becomes Springtrap, when he starts getting Springlock, his body sort of starts to decay. Like that's when they're quote unquote free, even though they're still trapped, but they're not under his control anymore, if that makes sense.
I think they technically become free when the place burns down.
I honestly
Weren't they, the spirits were made free when they were given the happy memory, right?
yeah.
No.
Or whatever they thought by
in the
his
third
daughter,
game,
Marionette, and then she was like, she hated him so much that she didn't have a happy memory, and so that's why she went to hell with him.
No, not that. I mean, in the third game, they're free if you get the good ending. Like their masks aren't made up anymore. But the third game is Fazbear Frights.
There was an image that Vanessa showed to Michael. She showed a picture of Vanessa young. Didn't she have a sister?
Yeah, there was a few of them, right? I mean, they had. Hold up, I just looked this up.
I know it was
All of
Vanessa,
the
and I think there was a girl.
children. He had Elizabeth, Michael, Crying Child, and Vanessa. Were all
I'm
of
not
his
talking about the
kids.
games or the books. I'm talking about the movie.
Oh,
And the
like
picture that he showed was
sibling?
only her, I'm pretty sure.
it was her and him in the Springlock suit. Yeah,
Okay.
there was nobody else in the picture that
Yeah.
I saw.
Because technically, like, we can't even argue anything because this is like the first thing that confirms anything. So this is the new story. Like, everyone has to get used to this.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not gonna say that. I
At the
think,
same time, I feel like
like I said, it's a different universe.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know about that.
That's your opinion.
Well, yeah,
My opinion could
but-
also be wrong. Like that it's from what I believe, Scott has never confirmed anything that he didn't want out there. So this is like the first thing him saying like, "Oh, hey guys, this is the lore. This is like the story."
And I mean, aside from the obvious like things that are not disputable, like her saying I'm his daughter, like all the rest of the things that we're putting out speculation, like is she blood related or did he kidnap her and brainwash her? Like that all is still speculative. Like there's no definite interpretation of anything that like is fully provided.
I mean, we know that there are children in the suit. Like, we know he killed the children. I don't know who Garrett is. And I mean, I can understand them taking inspiration from the books. I know Scott hasn't, at least not in my eyes, I know he hasn't confirmed anything. He's definitely told creators, though, like, you're very, very close. That's about as close as we'll get to actual confirmation, which it isn't even at that point. But I mean, considering that he did create the games, which in my opinion is the story that he wanted to tell, like a movie is completely different than the games. And if you're taking inspiration from the books, then it's its own timeline, to be honest with you, because I think the books has its own timeline separate to the games. There are some like references, but I don't know if you can actually place the books within the games. I think there's sort of contradicting points that show up in the books that are in the game.
There are some, but like at least the newer books, like the Tales of the Pizzeria, those are exactly coinciding with Security Breach and Ruin.
Well, yeah, I mean
Those are confirmed to be like in the game. Like it's 2 and 2. They both work together. The other books, there has been like, of course, because FNAF 1, there was no story. He just made that game, and then FNAF 2 is when he made it.
The phone guy had like plenty of shit to say.
And then in FNAF 2, that's when he started making the actual story.
You remember the posters, right? Like me and Macy just saw a video of this. There were posters in the first game that changed each night that told a story about how children went missing. There were first 2 children.
Oh yeah,
and
of course. But
5.
what I'm saying is that like there was no actual like you having to go. It wasn't like telling a story about like, you know, William and the family, and like it was telling about the kids, yeah, because like that's the whole thing about the first game. The kids went missing, they're haunting the suits, and they're trying to kill you. That was the whole thing.
That
But
is
there
the
was
story,
never a
though.
mention of William. There was never a mention of, you know, Michael or like anything else. That's what I'm saying. Like he actually started developing the story in Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
That's still wrong because it showed that the person was convicted. The killer was caught. Like they didn't name drop, if that's what you mean. Like we didn't actually get a name drop for William, but the killer was caught in those, like it showed it in the poster.
I think Dave is more so trying to say like there wasn't a development of like the Henry Emily versus like the founder and all of that stuff, and like who the kids were like in relation to them, and how it all gets so convoluted of like the timeline kind of shit.
Like that's like they made a story for the game because of course you need a story for a game.
That's good.
But he never. Okay. Like.
No good.
Nah.
There you go. But I'm still saying, like, no, I mean, I understand where you're coming from if that's the whole aspect that you're trying to get at, but there was obviously a story to the first game. It obviously does add to the entire story that he had. I don't know about saying that the story started with the second game, considering the second was a prequel, and before that was Sister Location, so it doesn't even make sense to say that the story started with the second one. Like, the story started way the fuck back with Five Nights at Freddy's 4, probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not Scott. I have no idea. And you don't need a story to make a game. You can make a brain-dead game. I mean, fuck. Look at the way League of Legends started. I don't even think they had a story with League. And then all of a sudden, they just made one.
Okay.
I feel like, okay, the distinction here is like, it's very unlikely that before Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was ever published, and like before it reached the level of like notoriety and fame that it has now, that he had come up with the entire like timeline, the entire plot, right? More than likely, it started like he made FNAF 1, and then when it became popular, and like he probably had like a little bit like, oh yeah, you know, I could carry this on, but once he realized Five Nights at Freddy's was popular, then he developed the entire like timeline story shit, and like has continued kind of tinkering at it and creating this extra, or the next like games, media, that kind of stuff. Is that what you're trying to just kind of impress? Like nothing, not the entire thing was set in by the time that the first game was published. So it was just kind of like
literally what I'm saying is that FNAF 1 was a simple game with hidden little story, but FNAF 2 and upwards, there were so many connections, there were so many cutscenes, there was so much development of the story. I understand there's a story in FNAF 1. I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying you get to know the characters a lot more. You get to know the story, where it is, what happened in FNAF 2 and onward.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of us are going to disagree with that, David.
Well,
like,
you've been disagreeing with me.
No, I didn't say like there wasn't a story. It's obvious as fuck that there was development, and it wasn't just little story. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There weren't just little stories in FNAF 1. It showed exactly what it needed to. It even referenced the bite of 87. I don't even know if you remember that. Like, that was a big ass plot point, by the way, in the entire lore. So the fact that they already revealed that and then developed that kids went missing is pretty crazy for a first game. And I don't think Scott had the entire lore figured out by the first game, obviously. But at the same time, like, I don't think it was just a first game that had little to no story at all. Like, I don't know if that's what you're trying to say. You're definitely implying it. It's obvious. Obviously, like, the second, the third, the fourth, they developed more and more and more, which I'm not disagreeing with you on, but there was definitely a story in the first game. And I guess if we have to disagree, like, agree to disagree on this one, then that's just what's going to happen in the flick.
Like, I agree that there was a story in the first game.
Well, yeah, but
in my head,
applying it.
He essentially, like, everyone has been saying that the reason why people believe he didn't have as much of a big story as he does now, obviously, the game was just first created, but towards the beginning of when Five Nights at Freddy's was created, there are so many controversies. That being because people believe he didn't believe Five Nights at Freddy's was going to be a big game. He didn't make that much of a story. He just made the first game and wanted to see what was going to happen. Because he was a Christian game creator before Five Nights at Freddy's, or well, he still is technically, but like he wasn't doing these type of games. And then he did it. And then he saw how huge it became, and he started making more games, and they started making like developing more of a story. And people were saying how there's so much controversy because he himself didn't believe it was going to become what it is now.
No, it's ironic that you say that because the video Macy and I were just watching, the creator included why people were saying like, yeah, he started off with a bunch of Christian games, but Scott himself, you know, obviously he made the Pilgrim's Adventure, whatever the fuck came after that. He made another one that before even Five Nights at Freddy's was completely demented. Like it was crazy, and people didn't believe, like, he wasn't a very big game creator. I think Scott had his own story that he wanted to tell. I don't think he had intentions of the first game becoming popular. It sort of became popular through word of mouth and big YouTubers playing it like Markiplier. I don't think he had intentions of it becoming famous, considering what he made prior to it. You know, obviously, in my opinion, your opinion, whoever else's opinion, like, they weren't really good games. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad developer, but I don't think he had intentions of it. And obviously, I can't speak for Scott. Like, I'm not Scott, you're not Scott. So anything we're saying about him, like whatever he says, I mean, it's just hearsay, at least on our side. I don't know his intentions of making the game. All I know is that he had a story to tell, which is evident through the posters, through the talks, through the phone guy, through everything of that nature. They obviously had Mike Schmidt, who obviously becomes, you know, is our main character in the first one. He becomes part of this complicated plot. And as the story progresses, obviously phone guy dies. The story starts to actually progress in the posters where two kids went missing. Someone lured them into the back room. The captivator was caught, convicted, everything of that nature. And then it closes down. Like that's basically the plot of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is why the second one was a prequel, to show us more of the beginning. I don't know of his intentions. I honestly don't know. Obviously, at the end of the day, this is Five Nights at Freddy's. Who really gives a fuck? All of this is just theory. I honestly don't know the entire lore. I don't know the story. I'm not going to pretend like I do, but from what I see in the first game, the games that we've played, the first, second, and third, I mean, it seems like he had a story to tell in each one of them, and he basically did just that. And they're different than the story that he's trying to tell in the movies, which is why I think it's a separate timeline. Like, does that make sense?
It's so convoluted and so difficult to determine the timeline. Like, it very well could be a different timeline, but it also honestly probably could just be like such, like, it's up to interpretation, everything. There's all these facts that are provided that could just be like, we're just interpreting them at face value, and the actual truth is like not face value, you know what I mean? And it's all somehow still connected in the backwards, super, super fucked up lore, like in one universe. No, I was laughing, I'm sorry. I'm
just waiting for like MatPat's new video to hear what he has to say, and of course everyone else, like Daco, FNAF. I hope it's not a different timeline.
Me too, because that would suck.
I'd understand why, because, you know, because I didn't watch the video of like Afton's death in the animation. But it, like, which I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything, but like if they're trying to imply that it's a different story by, like, you know, Afton dying, like they remade his death animated for like a little bit for the movie, right? That's what it was.
Wait, what are you talking about?
What?
You told me that they, like, Afton died. Like, they made this video for the movie, like this little short.
No. There wasn't anything made for the movie. Like, Afton dying in the third game, obviously that was back in 2015, 16, 17. Somebody made a different interpretation on YouTube of what that looked like, which is what showed, you know, his head being crushed by the spring locks, which is what I used as a comparison to what we actually got in the movie, which was from Scott himself.
Yeah. So that's like a fan interpretation, which,
yeah.
What I hope is that this is the actual lore, and he's saying, "Ha, you all got it wrong," because like you said, he was telling people, "You're close, and now this could be him being like, "This is the lore. You were all wrong." But starting off with like,
go ahead.
Okay. Starting off with the first FNAF, as everyone knows how fucked the timeline is. Like, obviously you have to like start somewhere, but if it's like timeline like fucking Sister Location, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or 4 then 3, it's kind of fucked. I don't know how he's gonna do it. There are 3 movies confirmed. Lillard also has 3 movies. So we will see what happens, I guess. I have big hope. I had hope for this movie, and it did really well.
I was just gonna say that's the same thing I was gonna say is like we still have 2 more movies. This isn't like the crystal clear, like this is all he's gonna give us, so it has to be clear enough. We've got plenty of time for him to like be like, haha, fuck you. This is actually what I meant, and I was lying this entire time.
Yeah, I don't believe these 3 movies are gonna do the whole entire lore. Impossible.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna like, I don't think he's gonna like make the 3 movies and do all the books, all the games, all the whatever. Like, as he did in the first movie, he took things from from some of the books. Like the first book, The Silver Eyes, that scene in the arcade with Foxy and Abby. In the book, her name's not Abby, but it was the same thing. She was hiding from Foxy, and then Foxy was chasing after her. The dog animatronic suit, was Sparky, I think his name is, and there was a little girl that looks like Baby, but she's not Baby. But apparently later in the books, she becomes Baby. Like it's completely fucked.
Like the parts get repurposed kind of thing, or like
I think it's the soul gets in there. I have no idea, because she looks a lot like Baby, but her hair's not red enough.
Yeah.
That could just be from wear and tear and decay. I mean, if Sister Location happened many years prior to, let's just say the first game for, just for our sake, then obviously the dye in the hair would obviously, it wouldn't be as opaque, I think is the word, as it was when it was first made. It wouldn't be as red. I also think like, yes, maybe Scott is trying to tell his interpretation of the story. You have to remember that a lot of the speculation of the stories that people are making are coming from the game that he made. Like, yeah, he hasn't confirmed anything, and I think Scott likes people interpreting their own way of FNAF, considering he has like his own sort of, not a fund, but it's sort of like an which is why people are allowed to make so many Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. Like, he could easily copyright every single one of them and fucking destroy, like, he could just destroy the entire community. But I think he has so much love for the fans that he wouldn't just say like, oh yeah, this is exactly what the lore is supposed to be according to the movies, so fuck all of you. Like, I don't think that's in at all, but I mean, maybe it could just be him trying to tell a different story to new audiences. Obviously, the movies are newer than the games, and the games being so complicated, it might be easier to just retell the story. Because, there was the whole theory that the first 3 games, and then the first book or second book or whatever, however many books would actually be in the first movie, we don't get to see Springtrap until the 3rd game. And I don't know about you, but I didn't see any elements of the second game in the actual movie, and then aside from that, it was just the regular characters. So the first and 3rd game,
I haven't gone back enough to see, but apparently people have been like posting on TikTok how the puppet was in there. It was just in the shadows, so that's technically Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Another thing that I'm gonna bring up about the baby thing, about the animatronic, is that there was no ice cream machine, and that was like the big thing about Baby. Like, it was just a spring lock. There was nothing like to produce ice cream in there.
I mean, what would that look like though? You feel what I'm saying? Because the only thing we saw in it should have been the 3rd game, I think, or the second one, was her just getting caught by Willow. Like, it was in Sister Location. It was her getting caught by the arm and taken into Baby, and that's it. Like, we didn't get.
And there was nothing in there. Like, it was like, what I'm saying is that it was just a vessel. Like, there was nothing in there. Like, there's no body, there's no ice cream machine, there's no arm, there's nothing in there.
Well, the body would have decayed.
Question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is like just kind of because I'm a little bit confused by the baby lore. I don't know sister location stuff like that. So you're saying that Circus Baby taking in the fucking Elizabeth or Charlie,
William
whatever William's daughter. Yeah.
yeah, I think it was Elizabeth. So that
Elizabeth Henry
was like super early in the timeline.
No, I think Elizabeth is
After FNAF or before FNAF?
Elizabeth is Afton's, and Charlie is Hemley's.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like the event of Elizabeth being like killed and taken in as Circus Baby. When did that happen? Before or after
Gregory.
like 5 kids?
That was before Gregory, before the Bite of 83.
Okay, so didn't you just say that Circus Baby is supposed to be like a super like high tech animatronic?
Well, it's supposed to be because it has a fucking ice cream maker inside of it.
Are you sure? Like, is that canon, or was it like could she have just like gotten an ice cream from the cafeteria?
No,
baby
the
made
reason
ice
why,
creams.
the reason why is because those animatronics, those fun time animatronics, look so much more advanced, and they even say it in the game. In the game, they are much more advanced than the first ones, because the first ones were just bots. They were just bots. Second one, they could access like all the criminal database for predators, so they could even protect you. Is what the phone guy said. Third one, it was just Afton, just Springtrap, and fourth one was just like nightmares. Sister location, I don't know, because they are advanced as shit. Like the spring locks are also more advanced. Like they're not metal rods anymore. They're like little like buttons that you have to tap, and it's much more advanced than the first suits. That's what I'm saying. So unless this guy has a fucking time machine, it's fucked.
Okay, I just want to say, by the way, that we
yeah.
have 5 minutes left, not to interrupt you, Macy, but we have 5 minutes left on our timer, which I think is kind of fucking hysterical. But, like, what I wanted to say, just to quickly get it out there, I don't want to take up too much more time, was sort of if Sister Location did come before, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and then Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, it makes sense why sort of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 animatronics would be advanced, because yeah, they had the whole facial recognition software, they had the, you know, the ability to radio police signals and shit like that. It would make sense going from something like Sister Location, so advanced animatronics, to Baby, and then, you know, these semi-advanced, I don't know if they're as advanced, it could be argued that they're even more, I have no idea, but to these even more advanced or semi-advanced animatronics in the second game, and then them realizing like the Bite of 87 happened, I think, which was mangled, which was in the second game at some point, and then they would just go back to formula in the first one. I guess to me that makes a little bit of sense, but I don't know if that's, I honestly don't remember where Sister Location is in the story. I know it's before the first game, but I don't remember when.
Also, wasn't Henry the more like mechanically talented one? Didn't he like start? I feel like I remember vaguely in the lore that he was more in control for one of like the locations, and then like he started kind of like pulling back after the kids started dying, so he wasn't as involved in the making of the stuff, so it was more so like Afton doing what he could.
So theory is that Henry Emily, yes, was the head engineer, and Afton was like the businessman. So that Afton started learning under Emily and learning about spring locks and learning about the animatronics. And then when he found everything out and then made the suits that could hold the kids, he killed them. Henry Emily was distraught and backed up, but William kept going with his engineering and became even better. But then there's the other question: what if William was the better engineer? Because obviously Baby, like that, if that comes before 83, before he even met Henry Emily.
I don't know.
Long pauses.
That's
Okay,
why it's
I wasn't sure if you were gonna continue, David. It's always these long pauses that I try to talk and then you start talking like, bruh. But okay, according to this very loose article from IGN, which the first game was Five Nights at Freddy's 4, which is, I guess, obvious now, because you know, it takes place in 1980s, and that's when 1983, the Bite of 1983 happened with Greg. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and then Sister Location, and then Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So, to some degree, it would make sense why the animatronics were semi-advanced in the second one, and then how they just get more advanced in the third. But at the same time, at the end of Sister Location, this was something I was telling Macy, when Michael gets scooped, which, you know, I think it's confirmed Mike Schmidt is the one that's in Sister Location. He, at the point, gets scooped, Ennard enters him. You basically play Ennard in the first Five Nights at Freddy's, which the whole aspect of if they see you walking around, you're sort of an animatronic without its costume on, that sort of makes sense to me now, because they sort of see him as a robot as well. And then the whole theory of, you know, they don't really kill you, they just stuff you, and then Foxy doesn't actually kill you because we don't see him screaming. It's sort of him yelling for help, which I honestly don't know. All of this is really just theory. But the only confirmation we know is that, I think it's confirmation, is that in the first FNAF, we're not really playing Mike Schmidt. It's Ennard. So in the movie, if it was portraying the first game, Michael would have been Ennard, which was just a combination of, you know, Baby, Circus Foxy, Circus Freddy, and Ballora. Which, thank God they didn't give us that. Fuck.
It's way too soon.
Yeah.
They can't dive into all that shit. They could backwards dive into it, though. It'd be like, actually, this entire last movie was sneaky. Because I feel like that's kind of how he likes to release it, obviously. You know, he goes, like, he's jumping all over the timeline. It's not going to be linear. Like, he's going to reveal a bunch of shit later on from the, like, as it pertains to the first one.
Well, we had our timer. I don't know if you guys want to go into overtime, if you want to say anything else about this topic. We didn't really talk about them. We didn't talk a lot about the movies. Macy, what's your opinion, by the way? We didn't ask how you felt about the movie.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of up to, like, at the end of the day, yes, it was a great movie. It wasn't a good horror movie, but I didn't go in expecting it to be a horror movie. It's PG-13, and it's more so just for the fan base, I think. But I don't know. I'm like, last episode I did say, like, my worst fear is kind of that they are doing, like, an alternative universe kind of thing, because I just think that sucks. Like, I just want it to build on the lore. It doesn't have to clarify everything. That would suck too, but just be like another thing, you know? It would be fun in addition to, like, the convoluted mess. So I don't know. It's all up to interpretation. We have no idea, so I don't really know how I feel about how it adds or doesn't add to the stuff. But it was a great movie overall. Like, it was fun to watch.
David, did you want to say anything else?
I loved watching Matthew Lillard. He did a really good job. Outplayed the shit of his role. Abby, Max, pretty funny. What's his name again? Josh what?
Hutcherson.
Yeah, that boy plays the same role every single movie.
It's true.
So,
But yeah.
Macy, remember when I told you when we were coming back from the theater that, you know, obviously Markiplier wasn't in the movie, but if he was, he would have been the security guard in the beginning?
Yeah.
Apparently, according to Matt Pat, Markiplier was supposed to be that security guard in the beginning.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The only thing that wouldn't make sense is if they were going to kill him off. You know, we didn't actually see the security guard dying, but...
We saw his dead body at the end, though. So...
Yeah. Did we?
Yeah. He was in the pile with the rest of the people.
That makes sense. I think if it was Markiplier, they probably would have left it up to interpretation instead of this.
I mean, if it was
person.
Markiplier, maybe he could have been left in, like, he was in a suit kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like...
Screaming, I'm the king!
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think they would have, because, you know, I can't say that they're going to include YouTubers in the next movie. I think when you include YouTubers in the movie, it's perfectly fine, but as they said, it's for the fans. If it was just supposed to be like a regular horror movie, I don't think they would have done that, to be honest. But, you know, if they do make a second one and they killed him off, I think people would have been pretty mad.
That's true.
But, and then the whole trope about Balloon Boy being a piece of shit the entire movie, I think was kind of funny as well, which I guess is the nods to the second movie. or the second,
The
not
second
second movie,
game.
but the second game. Yeah, we don't really.
I
see
think that was the only time I got
but-
scared when Balloon Boy first got like.
Bro. He's just like a jump scare. Fucking annoying.
He's gross. We'll say that.
He's an annoying
Balloon
piece
Boy
of shit.
can go fucking dive off tower for all I give a shit.
He's better than Mangled though.
I mean, I
Mangled's
wonder
loud as hell.
if they're going to include like Phantom Bonnie, the one that we saw in the second game, if they're going to include characters like that. And then JJ, which I don't know if you saw the second video that I put out for our game. Like I told you when we were playing that I saw a balloon girl in the bottom. You can see JJ on the bottom of our gameplay when I think me and Pringle are playing. But I don't know. I wonder if they're going to include like rare characters like that. In,
I wonder if they're even gonna include like the smaller ones, like Ballora and those characters. Like,
Well,
if they're
Ballora's
even gonna
big.
bother.
Well,
no.
massive.
I don't mean like physical size.
No. I'm talking about like in the story, it's massive.
Okay, but are they like gonna dive into that shit? Is kind of my question. Like, are they gonna talk about all of the ones that aren't like the main ones? Are they gonna dive into that part? I just kind of wonder. Like, are they gonna try and keep it a little more mainstream and just stick to like Golden Freddy and the core group?
I think they're gonna talk about the. I mean, I don't really know. I think the next movie is gonna be about like the building burning down, and then them bringing up Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Perhaps.
And that Henry Emily is the one that's running it, and then William Afton breaks in, and that's what you hear in the second game, where it's like, oh, someone came in and was caught stealing or whatever.
I mean, I don't. Obviously, it was confirmed by trust me, bro. But some people on articles over Twitter, which Twitter people work fast and news sources like to pick it up, but they said that the second movie is already in development. Now it's not going to be a prequel like the second Five Nights at Freddy's. Apparently, it's going to be a sequel to the first one. So I don't know if that means that, Scott, he was a producer on this one. He wasn't the director, but he was a producer. I think it technically is up to the director to say how they want to tell the story as well. But I think he's kind of creating his own timeline with the movies as well. If it includes the books, I mean, that's perfectly fine. He's the creator. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I think he might be creating a new timeline just to make the lore a little bit more bite-sized for people who aren't familiar with it. That's all I want to say. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's, it was a good movie. Horror movie. I mean, it was a horror movie. There you go. And then the characters themselves, I think, looked amazing. Like, the animatronics, deadass, looked fucking crazy.
I mean, they better have, because they're the main thing.
Oh, I know, but like, I mean, you know, it's sort of, you're creating something presumably from a game. Game adaptations aren't usually that good. I mean, they made an Assassin's Creed movie. When the fuck is the last time you heard about that one? But
That's fair.
like, to make something on a grand scale like animatronics, I don't know if it's from scratch, but
This year they definitely did really well with all live adaptations. One Piece, the best adaptation to ever come out for anime. Five Nights at Freddy's, doing really well so far. Everyone's talking about it.
Talking about it doesn't always mean good. It's estimated to earn apparently 78 million in its domestic opening weekend. So this weekend, I think right now it's earned about 39, 40 million. So technically speaking, it's already had the biggest domestic opening day for a video game movie. Which
Even above Mario?
It's already made over 10 million from what it needed. Like, the budget was 25 million.
yeah, meaning that, it's the biggest domestic opening day. Like, domestic, just in the US.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's still a pretty big feat. Like, that's not even cap. But at the same time, like, Five Nights at Freddy's, the community for FNAF is crazy. And we haven't even really talked about any of the crazy shit happening. The brawl, which apparently actually has a name to it now. It's called the Fight of 87.
Yep. On Arizona different.
Oh, I mean, you can hear whatever you want. Everyone has their own name, but the Fight of 87
Fight at
sounds
Freddy's.
so stupid, bro.
They both sound stupid.
Yep.
Yep, and then people stealing the what's it called? That poster that theaters have of the characters. Like, I don't even think it's a poster. It's like one of those cardboard things. They're just stealing it outright. Like, the FNAF community is so stupid, bro. But I mean, they love the characters, right? You show love, appreciation for these characters. As long as you're not vandalizing or breaking property, you're okay. So you're stealing and robbing, but man, who you really inconvenience is just a business, right?
Oh well.
But I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I think Golden Freddy as well was underutilized, considering in the games he's sort of like the second you see him, you're basically confirmed to die. He was sort of our pack leader in this movie, which I thought was kind of funny.
At least we didn't get that dumbass "We Are FNAF" scene.
Yeah, thank God.
Basically,
that would have killed it.
We basically did. I mean, they were all standing there tickling the bitch, and then when she started introducing them, they just stood there.
Yeah,
Like, that 14 was something else.
I mean, hey, they were helping her. That was such a random scene, in my opinion. Like, it's a kids movie, sure. At least Five Nights at Freddy's audiences are kids, which I think is kind of funny if they actually knew the lore of it. But that fort scene, I don't think needed to be in the movie, to be honest with you.
It was just, like I was telling Macy, it was just there to show that they're still kids. Like, they're kids inside of the suit. Like, they want to have fun.
And I think it really was just like fluff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if their intention, which, you know, they said it was basically to turn her into one of them, they were smart enough to manipulate Mike, and obviously, like, he's way older than Abby. They just needed to gain her trust, and Chica was able to lead her dumbass to the back room, so...
Yeah. Dumbass.
I guess that just goes to show kids are dumb as fuck. So,
Literally.
You heard it here first, audience. Kids are stupid. I don't want kids, because they'll do some dumb shit like invite Phantom and Nightmare animatronics into your home. So there you go.
And believe like, oh no, she's sleeping. Silly goose.
All right, well, that's all I wanted to say on this topic. I'm sure I'll rewatch the movie and say something else about it, but that's all I remember for now, at least.
Yeah.
David?
I'm mad as fuck Markiplier was in this.
Oh my god, bro.
Who even knows why, though? Like,
Scheduling.
maybe it was because of the scheduling, but maybe he was lying and it's because they offered him a bigger opportunity in a second or third movie.
I mean, no, he personally, like, if he's not a liar, like Edward says, he personally said it was just scheduling, that he couldn't do it because he was working on his movie and he didn't expect them to wait for him. But, like,
well, yeah, but
it's
it could
kind of
be
fucked.
that. And they still could come back and be like, okay, we're going to offer you another opportunity.
Oh, yeah, I'm assuming he'll definitely have a bigger role in a different movie. It's just that, like, it's kind of fucked how, like, the fans have been waiting for this for so long and then you turn it down. Like, it's...
Yeah. He didn't turn it down. He wanted to do it. Like, you make it sound like he got the offer.
He didn't. But
you make it sound like he got the offer, and then he said, fuck you. Like, he said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
He
like,
basically did.
But he said he wants to do it for the fans.
His movie is a little more important to him than, like that's his career. Like,
and his fans.
Yeah,
fans.
Him. That's what
and his fans. 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 Shut the fuck up. He's working on that for his fans. In his pants. Rock hard, by the way. He's literally making the movie for his fans. Shut the fuck up. Like, Buddy's like,
Markiplier.
Dude, this guy would not stop telling me about Markiplier wasn't in the movie. I'm so sad.
Yeah.
So, like,
Buddy's fake.
Like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Even Matt was in the movie and he was lying. Come on, bro.
Well, Matt Pat thinks he's like Andrew Garfield to Maguire. Bro was crying out here in the streets. He needs to focus the fuck up.
Bro, yeah, but everyone believed it. That's the crazy thing.
Believed it? Believe my ass. How about that one? I didn't trust that boy for 1 minute. All of it's a theory, right? Fuck out of here. His theories are also a goddamn theory on me. All I'm saying is, you know what would have been more disappointing if Markiplier was in the movie and got killed off within the first 10 minutes. Like, no fucking way. I would have been mad as shit, because that means the king of Five Nights at Freddy's couldn't even handle it IRL. You know how pathetic that is on me. Like, Buddy completed 2020 in every game. I think every game. I'm not going to glaze saying I watched all of his videos, but like, I'm pretty sure if the king can't survive Five Nights at Freddy's, then I mean, Josh Hutcherson should have been dead like 20 minutes ago. But anyways, is there anything else you actually want to say about the movie? Who gives a fuck about Markiplier? There you go.
Well, he would have been in the movie.
Oh my god.
That's part of the movie. Hello.
All right.
It's all just a theory.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Hope you go watch the movie if you haven't already.
Yeah.
That's on life. It's on Peacock. You got no excuse.